Continue reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is. We are on chapter 8, Attaining the Supreme. Text 6. We heard yesterday, Krishna says, Antakale chamam eva. That if one remembers me alone, at the time of leaving the body, he at once is going to come back to me in the spiritual world. Then now he's continuing. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyachati ante kalevaram tam tam eveti kaunteya sadatad bhava bhavitaha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. So Krishna is saying, whatever you think of at the time of death, that is going to be your next position. We are all going to be faced with this moment. None of us is going to be permanently staying in the body that we are currently in. So each of us is going to be faced with the moment when we have to leave this body. And at that time, what's our consciousness? That is going to be our next destination. The process of changing one's nature at the critical moment of death is here explained. A person who at the end of his life quits his body thinking of Krishna attains the transcendental nature of the Supreme Lord. But it is not true that a person who thinks of something other than Krishna attains the same transcendental state. So, some people say, oh, it doesn't matter, whatever you do is all same. You think of Krishna, or you think of Brahma, or you think of Hanuman or Ganesh, everything is same. No, Krishna is saying, whoever you think of, that's where you're going to go. Yeah, he's very clear. He's not saying it's all the same. We just simply have to hear from Krishna. So Prabhupada would give the example, if somebody is buying a ticket to Calcutta, he's going to go to Calcutta. It's not that he's going to reach Pune. One person is buying ticket to Pune, one is going to Calcutta, one is buying a ticket to Bombay. They're all going to reach different destinations. Not that everything is one. So this is a point we should note very carefully. How can one die in the proper state of mind? Maharaj Bharat, although a great personality, thought of a deer at the end of his life. And so in the next life, he was transferred into the body of a deer. So this is the moment of truth. When we die, it's going to decide where we are going to go. Are we going to go again back to the material world because we are so materially attached? Or if we are able to think of Krishna, then we can go back home, back to Godhead in the spiritual world, to be associating with Krishna in our spiritual bodies. In the spiritual world, there is no material body. It's all spiritual bodies. Maharaj Bharat, he was a great personality. Maharaj Bharat is a pure devotee. He is on the stage of bhava, which is just one stage below prema. So he has that bhava for Krishna, and yet he thought of the deer at the time of leaving his body. He's being an example for us. Krishna teaches us by using his pure devotees as examples. So it's an example for us that whatever we think of when we are leaving the body, that body we will get in the next life. So if we think of Krishna while we are leaving our body, it's not that we are going to become Krishna. No one can become Krishna. Only Krishna is Krishna. When we think of Krishna while leaving the body, then we will go and associate with Krishna in the spiritual world. We will go back to the spiritual world and be in our original spiritual bodies. So Maharaj Bharat, although he was a deer in his next life, so he's Maharaj Bharat, he gets attached to the deer, so he thinks of the deer when he's dying. So in the next life, he gets the body of a deer. But in this deer body, he remembered his past activities. He had to accept that animal body. Of course, one's thoughts during the course of one's life accumulate to influence one's thoughts at the moment of death. So this life creates one's next life. You know what? We are already creating our next body by our consciousness, by our thoughts, by our mind. We are creating our next body. What is my consciousness? What am I thinking of all the time? What are my desires? What am I doing? Based on our desire and based on our karma, we are going to get another body. We're going to get another body. So we are man is the maker of his own destiny. We are responsible for wherever we are right now, and we are responsible for where we will be in our next body. Will we be in a spiritual body or will we be in a material body? We need a body. Whether it be spiritual or material, that depends on us. We want to be in the material world, have a material body, then we continue with our material activities. But if we want to be situated in our original spiritual body in the spiritual world, then we try to follow we engage in devotional service. We engage in devotional service. We hear, we chant, we remember the Supreme Lord, all under the guidance of the spiritual master. So, of course, one's thoughts during the course of one's life. Okay, if in one's present life one lives in the mode of goodness and always thinks of Krishna, it is possible for one to remember Krishna at the end of one's life. That will help one be transferred to the transcendental nature of Krishna. So, what does it mean? Oh, if I'm thinking of Krishna during my life and at the time of death, I'm able to think of Krishna, then I will go to the spiritual world, transcendental nature of Krishna. Krishna is God, He's completely spiritual. By thinking of Krishna doesn't mean that I'm going to become God. No, it means that I will go to the spiritual world and my original spiritual identity will be revealed. I can be in my original spiritual form. If one is transcendently absorbed in Krishna's service, then his next body will be transcendental, spiritual, not material. Because engaging in Krishna's service is the eternal activity of the soul. Bhakti is the Sanatan Dharma. It's the Sanatan Dharma of the soul. And so if one is actually engaged in Krishna's service while living in this material world, in the material body, the next body will be a spiritual body. It will be in the spiritual world, not in this material world. Therefore, the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare is the best process for successfully changing one's state of being at the end of one's life. So we want to get our spiritual body, we want to be in the spiritual world, we want to be in the transcendental atmosphere, we want to be with Krishna. Then the easiest and the fastest way is when we practice this chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. It is the fastest and the surest way to self-realization, to liberation, to helping us get our spiritual form, our spiritual body. That is our real identity. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Did anyone want to add anything or comment anything? No. So we'll stop here for today. Thank you so much for listening in and joining in. Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.